Denji is down astronomical. So I started reading Chainsaw Man a couple nights ago, totally off the hype that it has received, and it has been good so far. The story is about Denji. His father committed suicide while having a massive debt, leaving Denji with the burden of covering that debt. That meant that Denji would be forced into hunting devils to earn money to pay the debt and survive, something which was aided by Pochita, a devil he made a contract with. Without spoiling too much about what happened, Denji ended up in a situation where he was forced to fuse with Pochita, and he gained the ability to transform into a chainsaw. He ended up joining the public safety devil hunters, where he met the other central characters of the story, namely Makima, Aki, and Power. So let's move on to what I've liked about the story so far. In particular, I loved the introduction, the pilot chapter, where we got introduced to Denji and his past, and the reason why he's currently hunting devils. We get to see the situation that Denji resides in. He lives in a shack on the outskirts of Kyoto with his pet devil, Pochita. It's really just the two of them, and you could see that they're struggling. Denji has a massive debt over his head, and all the money he earns goes into paying the debt, leaving him with a minimal amount of money to spend on his survival. He's forced to go days without eating at times, and you could feel for him because, yeah, you understand, he's an orphan at the moment. He's being forced to pay a debt that he did not incur, and it's taking a toll on him. He's not going to school, it's just him living in a shack, paying his bills, trying to survive. And that is just not a positive life for someone. Kinda reminds me of Naruto, when we got introduced to Naruto knowing that both his parents passed away, leaving him an orphan. And Naruto basically lived in poverty as well. Only difference is that he didn't have a physical pet. I mean, he had the Nine Tails inside of him, but they did not have a good relationship at the start. Secondly, I see that the consensus on social media is to dislike Makima, or some people say you should not simp for Makima. And so far, I haven't come to understand why. She seems pretty cool. Her introduction was just her getting Denji to join the public safety devil hunters, and she took a liking to his ability to transform into a chainsaw. A couple chapters later, I saw that she sees potential in him to do great things. So I'm looking forward to how that dynamic goes forward as I read more and more chapters. But honestly, she seems like your typical OnlyFans girl who tries to manipulate guys into doing things. You know, OnlyFans girls would try to manipulate guys into paying money. Well, Makima tries to manipulate Denji into doing literally anything that she says, because she's come to notice that Denji is basically down bad, for her in particular. So I mean, I wouldn't really slight her for that because that's literally women in general. But I mean, I look forward to see how her character progresses throughout the story, and her dynamic with Denji as well. Moving on to Aki, he seems pretty cool. He's pretty rude as well, because I mean, you could understand that his entire family was killed by devils, and having to work with Denji, who basically has a devil inside of him, you could understand that he doesn't trust Denji. But I could pretty much see that later on in the story they become friends. I mean, that's usually how it works. Particularly because Power, the fiend, lives with him and Denji. In one chapter I saw that both Aki and Denji came together they were both being annoyed by Power. And I see that dynamic as the catalyst behind Denji and Aki becoming friends, to be honest. But I mean, I wait to see how it all comes to fruition later on in the story. Since the story is pretty much in its introductory arc, I would say that it hasn't shown much in terms of depth, but I believe it's gonna get pretty deep as it progresses. There have been inklings of certain plot points that will get developed, especially with Makima and the leaders of the public safety devil hunters. So I expect a bit of political intrigue in the future, especially as they mentioned the United States and the other countries in the world with devil hunters and the seemingly new trend of using devils in military projects. So I expect some great things in that regard. Hopefully Denji trends away from simply wanting to hug a girl and live a simple life. Even though I don't knock him for wanting to live a simple life, seeing as he came from a very tough situation. But at some point, I believe he will realize that there might be more to life than simply living day to day. I'm sure he's gonna find something deeper that he wants. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting from the story thus far. I gotta say, Denji's character design, especially in his Chainsaw Man form, is pretty amazing, honestly. I didn't expect much from a character who could transform into a chainsaw, but they actually really impressed me with his design. I gotta say, props to Fujimoto for that. But all in all, I don't expect a masterpiece from this story, but I expect it to be pretty good. I expect the anime that is coming out in the winter to be pretty good as well. So I'll say that, yeah, I expect great things from Chainsaw Man. And I'm gonna continue reading the story so that I could do a more in-depth analysis of the story. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want more, and check out the other videos at the end of this video.